Hello and welcome to Marketing Speak. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer, and today it's my pleasure to have Mostafa Hosseini with us. Mostafa is the founder of Persyo and creator of the Simple Retention Formula, Simple Marketing Formula, and the Simple Offer Formula. For the past 12 years, he's helped business owners and entrepreneurs build profitable businesses in various niche markets and industries. Currently, his call center helps established businesses fix their follow-up problem and scale through referrals and customer retention without spending any money on ads. Mostafa, it's so great to have you on the show.
Thank you. It is great to be here, and I really look forward to our conversation.
Yes. And last week we had a conversation where I was on your podcast, and we talked not just SEO, we went into some really powerful and fascinating spiritual topics too. That was fun.
Absolutely. Really enjoyed our conversation, and I can't wait to see what we're going to get into today.
Yes. Whatever unfolds is meant to unfold. You know, that the Arabic word maktub means it is written. So our conversation and where it goes, all the kind of rabbit holes we explore are already written.
100%.
Yeah, awesome. So let's start off by if you could share maybe a little origin story of how you ended up focusing so much on follow-ups, retention, and referrals. How did you get into that area of focus, and any kind of crazy, outlandish stories that would you'd like to regale us with?
For sure. So I ran a marketing agency from 2010 to 2018, where we did A to Z digital marketing for our clients, along with coaching and consulting our clients on their marketing. And so back in the day, I learned from Dan Kennedy about the power of follow-ups and customer retention, and how it's like a low-hanging fruit and not very many people actually do it. So the story is that over the years, every time I ran out of cash or customers and referrals, and if I had a deadline with like payroll and making payments, I would worry about it for a few days. Then I would come to my senses and realize that I actually have a list of customers and prospects that I could probably tap into. Then I would pick up the phone, make a round of calls to my list, and on the day of or shortly after, I would get cash, appointments, referrals, introductions, you name it. Then later on, I started teaching the things that actually worked for us, like the 80-20 of the results that we got from our agency days, in a course called Simple Marketing Formula. And the last module was always customer retention. Then I'd be like, people, use this script. This is the script that actually works for us. Follow this process, pick up the phone, call your list today, and you're going to see cash, appointments, referrals, and, and everything else starting today or next week. And nobody would do it. I'm like, people, this actually works. This is actually the process. Turns out people actually hate to pick up the phone and make calls. And that's something that I do naturally almost every morning. Like my daily routine is I get up, go out, grab a coffee, go for a drive in the countryside, call my friends and family, have a conversation, touch base, come back to my office and start working. So as I do this naturally, what happened is I saw that people don't want to do it. And then one time I had a guy who was making calls for us. And then in the workshop, I was like, people, I have a guy who can make calls for you to your list. Who wants an introduction? Everybody. They're like, yep, that's great. Then I'm like, oh, that's interesting. What if we do it for you and manage it for you? Who wants us to do that? They're like, yes, brother, sign us up. This is great. So took me about a couple of years to kind of put my thoughts together and then start the call center. And over the years, that was actually follow-ups and retention has been our most profitable, highest converting marketing activity, period. So that's the story to how we started a call center, specializing in follow-ups and customer retention.
That's awesome. How many staff do you have?
We got about a team of 5 now.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And where do you see yourself heading to over the next few years? There's a lot of innovation happening with artificial intelligence, with automation and so forth. Where do you see this heading, your company and generally in the industry?
So would we kind of add to the mix is that human touch that is missing quite a bit these days. There's a lot of digital things happening with AI, people are reading emails and spending a lot of time on the apps. So we will incorporate the AI into technology and what we do, but at the end of the day, what my team and I do is we pick up the phone and have a conversation with people. So we add the human touch to the mix. And that's our focus and a specialty for now, unless we see a lot of people saying, Mostafa, we don't want this. We just want to go digital, which so far hasn't happened. So far, people are pretty excited about what we do.
Yeah, and you're focused on the existing customers or clients.
Yeah, we work with an existing list of leads, customers, and past clients. So we work with an entire list from the moment they opt in to get a lead magnet all the way through following up with people on a webinar, an event, existing customers, past customers, partners. We just make sure that our customers don't leave any money on the table and make sure everybody's contacted with and just build that bridge and reestablish the relationship and start booking appointments and getting referrals.
Yep, got it. So you're not cold calling from the phone book or anything like that?
No, there's always a transaction and a reason to call.
Yeah, got it. There's a great story I heard from Vishen Lakhiani, who's the founder of Mind Valley. And he told how before he started Mind Valley, he worked at a law firm software company. They had software as a service, and they offered it specifically to law firms. And what he did was cold call sales. He was commission only, and he was barely making enough money to survive. He would work through the phone books and start letter A, go to the letter Z for the law firm section of the phone book, the yellow pages, and or white pages, I guess, the business listings in the white pages, I guess, something like that. Anyway, so he would do that for a living, and it was kind of hand to mouth, barely eking out a living. And then he went to the Silva Method seminar. He learned about manifesting and about some spiritual concepts, law of attraction, all that sort of stuff. He came back, and instead of starting with the letter A in the alphabet for the different regions that he was serving, he would go only to those law firms or called only the law firms that he felt this I don't know, draw to, or like a spiritual connection with. And his sales doubled.
Yep.
And then they doubled again. And they doubled again. And so he ended up, after several months, being promoted to a vice president role in that company. He later moved on, found Mind Valley, which has become a huge 8-figure, maybe it's even 9-figure personal development business, offering all these amazing courses and communities and so forth. But it's such a great story. It's an example of how, if you marry the practical, kind of pragmatic, 3-dimensional world with your connection to the unseen world and to your higher self, it is, the perfect combination. It's kind of like the peanut butter and the jelly, or the peanut butter and the chocolate. Go two great tastes that go great together, right? So how do you kind of manifest that magic in your business and in your life, and inspire your clients to do the same?
So I like one-on-one, face-to-face conversations, typical like what we're doing right now. If we feel enough, if I feel the connection, we obviously follow through. But then if I don't feel the connection, I don't sweat it too much. I don't worry about it too much. Because I've learned over the years that even if I try hard and like sign up a customer that is not a good match, it doesn't work at the end of the day. there will be a reason for us to part ways, and usually is not on good terms. So now I'm like, I would just wait. Like this morning, I had a perfect example. I spoke at an event, and I told you about it before we started. I spoke at an event a couple weeks ago, and when I spoke at the event, it wasn't like the perfect audience for me. Like with people that I was talking to, they were just on a different mindset, different group of people, not exactly a lot of the people that I was looking for. However, there was like 2 or 3 people that would be almost perfect prospects for me. Spoke to one of them this morning, and it was like we were on the same page. When the stuff that he would say, I would just like, this is perfect. It sounds like we're made for each other. And it's like, Mostafa, I'm ready to sign up. Like, awesome, right? And so there wasn't like when I see the right fit, there's not a lot of selling happening. There's good connections, there's good vibes, and there's good back and forth. So I think that's how I would qualify the right people that I come across.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. There's a concept that I learned from Anne-Marie Pizarro, who's a very well-respected and legit Akashic Records reader, meaning that she opens your Akashic Records. The Akash in Sanskrit means primal substance. It's where all thought, words, and deeds are recorded across all lifetimes. Each of us has our Akashic Records, and she accesses your Akashic Records with your permission in a reading, and you can ask questions, and then she will relay the answers that she receives from the Akashic Record keepers. Pretty out there sounding concept for somebody who's very much a materialist and skeptical, but she's totally legit. There's stuff that she's told me that she couldn't have possibly known. And yeah, so what she said when I think it was in one of her courses, programs I was taking. So I also learned how to open my own Akashic Records by taking a course from her. Anyways, I got this concept from her that I just love, and it's that you have an assigned group in your business. You don't have clients, you have an assigned group. They've been assigned from above, from God, from the upper worlds to work with you for whatever reason that is going to bring about the highest and best good for you to work with them and for them to work with you. So if that's all written, right? Back to concept at the beginning of this episode, Maktub, it's already written. These are clients that you are destined to work with. Then you're meant to your paths are meant to intersect. So that takes a lot of the pressure off, really. Like, okay, I don't have to hustle so much, kind of like the Gary Vee style of hustling to make a living. If I know that I'm just being carried down the river. So in that regard, it takes not just the pressure off, but it also makes you more receptive if you believe in spirituality and there's a bigger picture. It, I don't know, kind of plugs you in more to that magic, mystical aspect. The unseen world instead of just the seen world. So I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are about this idea of an assigned group.
I mean, I would typically attract the people that would be attracted to me, and I'll be attracted to them. And so for me, over the years, every time that I tried to hustle or work too hard, it didn't really work for me. I just got burnt and frustrated, and it didn't work. At the end of the day, I'd be tired and burnt out. But then it wasn't actually too long ago that I did kind of an assessment of business years, and I realized that every time that I was more relaxed, I actually did way better with business. But when I tried too hard, it didn't quite work as much. And even if I tried harder, the results weren't too much different or different at all. But when I relax, it's like when I relax, I feel that I'm opening up to the channels of receiving, right? As when I kind of get tense and when I try to say hustle, I feel like I'm closing to receive my receiving channels. And then there was the idea that we talked about on my podcast. I read the book, the Game of Life, and how to play it. There was a concept of just letting go and casting the burden, so that letting God take care of things and just let it be. And that way I was like, oh, that's very relaxing, and I like it that way. When I just let go and then work on attracting and being connected and getting connected with the right people at the right time. And we even have our thing where we were booked on each other's podcast back in January this year. For some weird reason got canceled, and now we're here today after I've read the book The Game of Life and how to play it, and we talk about it. You're like, oh, I've read it. I'm like, I've read it. And we had this great connection. So right. Seems like it was all
if we had done
written.
It in January, neither one of us would have had read that book. Yep. And it feels very much synchronistic, like it was meant to happen, and the timing that was organized, was arranged for us. Yeah, I love that book so much. There's a concept I learned from Yannick Silver. He's the founder of the Maverick Mastermind, big internet marketer who has moved on to being more of a spiritual author, a Hay House author, and this mastermind is very much a spiritual entrepreneurship mastermind. I love it. It's one of 5 different masterminds I'm in currently. And by the way, that's how we met, of course, was through a different mastermind called JVMM, Joint Venture Mastermind. So I love masterminds. I love the connections that they forge and the insights that you glean from the different members and stuff. Anyways, so the Game of Life 100%. And how to. I learned about that book because YouTube not randomly, nothing's random, presented that to me as a suggested video on the homepage of YouTube. And I'd never heard of Florence Scovel Shinn. She's the author. The book is 100 years old. It's like from 1925. Yes. Most people will not have heard of it. I had not heard of it until, like 6 months ago. So that concept of having something show up in your field, in the quantum field, right at the right time, kind of like the if you ever saw Harry Potter, to the room of requirement, right? It's like it just shows up when you need it at the right time in the right way. And I just was drawn to that. I started listening to that audio on YouTube. By the way, that is a better sounding audio narration apparently than the audible narration. That's on. I'll include a link and I'll embed in my team will embed in the show notes for this episode that particular audio book from YouTube.
On YouTube.
Yeah. So I just loved that book. It was almost like hearing Neo from the Matrix explain how the Matrix worked. And this is cutting edge stuff back in the 1920s. I loved it.
Absolutely. Can I share my story here?
Please. Yeah.
7 years ago, I was visiting family in Tehran, Iran. And I sat in this taxi, and this guy had a book on his dashboard. It was this book. And I'm like, what is that? He goes, and he's like, this is this amazing book that I read, and it changed my life. You want to read it? And then I'm like, yeah. He goes, read this chapter. And the chapter was the law of non-resistance. Mm-hmm. So Tehran has a very bad traffic issue. Driving in Tehran would drive you nuts. And then it would literally make me go crazy. And then what happened was I read this chapter on the law of non-resistance, and it says You got to be like water coming down a mountain and act like water. When water reaches a stone, it doesn't fight the stone. It just goes around it and it continues until it makes it to the river. And then as soon as I read that, I'm like, that's very interesting. It just made my driving experience instantly better. So I was like looking for all this open space, and then then I just dropped most of the resistances that I had, because I'm like, all right, I'm just going to continue going like water. Now, what I did was I went out and bought a copy of this book for almost every family member that I had. Probably bought like 15 of them. Then I'm like, guys, this is an amazing book. You might want to check it out. Then I didn't read the book too much. And like you said, YouTube started suggesting this book to me over the past few months, like multiple times. Then one day I'm like, maybe I should check this out. Then I started reading the book. I'm like, this sounds familiar. And then I realized this is the book that I actually bought 7 or 8 years ago, gave a copy to each of my family members, and
then promptly didn't.
And then I read it. I'm like, yeah. Then I went back and I called all of them up. I'm like, you know that book that I bought just 7 years ago? You should probably look into it. This is an amazing book. And I actually got a few of them to actually read it up. So
that's awesome.
It was, yeah.
That's a great story. So what I was going to say about Yannick Silver, who was a past guest on this show, founder of Mavericks. So he introduced me to the term bibliomancy, which means when you open a book with intention, you are taken to exactly the right place. Kind of like if you pick a card out of a deck, a tarot deck, or angel cards or something like that. None of this is random. It's all orchestrated from above. Kind of like the angels are editing your movie in real time. So I loved hearing that. I've had many experiences of bibliomancy. And then shortly thereafter, I learned from someone else of a related concept. And that's called shufflemancy. Same thing as bibliomancy, except it can be anywhere, especially online, such as when you're scrolling through your Facebook feed or going to the YouTube homepage, any place where an algorithm is going to, quote unquote, randomly select something. Seems like random, but it's not actually just an algorithm. The algorithm is just the way of it being, it's the way the facilitating so the angels working behind the scenes, editing your movie in real time, using the algorithm as a way to do that. I know that sounds pretty out there for some of you folks listening, but if you have the willing suspension of disbelief and you just, be open, then magical stuff starts happening. So shufflemancy is how I came across her book, The Game of Life and How to Play It, and so many other things, so many synchronicities that happen in my life. The more I'm floored pretty much every day by the synchronicities and stuff that you just can't make it up. Anyways, so I would love to hear a bit more about your process, your framework for getting more referrals, and striking while the iron is hot, so to speak, asking for the referral or the recommendation or the whatever, asking for something, testimonial, when they're at a peak state of, you guys have really knocked it out of the park. We really love you, rather than waiting until you're, in need. And I'm sure you have a process and it's repeatable and it's scalable. So if you can break that down and walk us through it, that'd be great.
Absolutely. There are a couple of places that are like the best place to ask for a referral and or a testimonial or a review. One is when they first sign up. When they make a purchasing decision, that's one of the best places and times to ask for a referral. And the question is, who do you know that is having an issue or a problem with SEO? Who else do you know that is having an SEO problem? Because they just went through the process of trusting you and believing in your expertise and, swiping their credit card and giving you cash or credit. Now they trust you and they're like, you know what? I know Joe, who also has a website, who is not showing up on Google. They should probably have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
And so that's the first best time. And the second best time similar to what you mentioned, is when you actually deliver a result. The moment when they're happy, they're experiencing the emotions, and they remember and they are in the presence of what they have received. That's the second best time to ask for a review or a referral. And a mistake that a lot of people make is they wait for it. They're like, let me wait for a week or 2 weeks or a month or 6 months later to ask for a review or a referral. And the problem with that is a week later, they have forgotten about that experience. The emotions are gone.
Yeah.
In my experience, every day that goes by, you lose about a 10% chance of getting that referral or testimonial or review. So a week later, you have a 70% less chances of getting that review because they forgot all about it. They moved on. They're now going through different emotions. So what we had is in my workshop, Simple Marketing Formula, I had it embedded in my slides where at the end of the workshop, I get people to share their experience, right? And that became our basically testimonials and reviews about their experience, because that is the time when they receive the results. The next day, they have to think about it and remember. So, and then that's when we also ask them, who else do you know that could use our services? Who else do you know that we could do business with? So
That's really
that's
cool.
how I would do it. Right. So what we do is we follow up from the moment they opt into a list to webinars, events, existing customers or past customers. Is we reach out to these people on a consistent basis and have a conversation, a very friendly, nurturing conversation. And it's embedded in our script to ask for a referral if the conversation is going well. Even if the person in front of us is not a qualified prospect or customer, they may know someone that is. So we always ask, who do you know that may be having an issue with X? X could be SEO with their follow-up, with their sales, marketing, marriage, whatever the topic is. And you never know who knows who. And so when you ask that question 100 times, chances are pretty good that you will get between 1 to 5 referrals. And it could be a referral to one person or a referral to a group of people. And that's how that would go. So you can always ask for a referral in a very friendly, non-pushy way.
Yeah, I like that. Now, there's something else that came to me as an example or an approach. I don't know if you've ever done this, but if you have a joint webinar with someone, let's say famous in your industry or just generally famous, and you're one of the subject matter experts or the subject matter expert, and the person is introducing you, it's in their best interest to, kind of shout from the rooftops your highest and best qualities. So this happened for me years ago. Tony Robbins was introducing me, and I was teaching a webinar on SEO to his like platinum partners and high end clients. So he was singing my praises, and he said some amazing stuff. He called me one of the top SEO people in the world and all this stuff. And that webinar was recorded. So now that portion of the webinar is on my testimonials page with the audio. So you can actually hear in his distinctive voice him saying, I know Stephan, he's one of the top SEO experts in the world. And turn that audio also into a text-based testimonial. You can either listen to the audio or you can just read it. It's a huge credibility builder, and going to Tony and asking for a testimonial would have felt really not necessarily icky, but hard to do for me. Whereas having him introduce me in a
Right.
webinar that was to his tribe, that was easy. have you come across this?
Yeah, he basically referred you to all of his tribe.
Yeah, he referred me, but he also gave an incredible testimonial about me too at the beginning to introduce me. So that was really cool.
100%. Yeah, I've had a similar experience when I appeared on someone else's podcast. When they did the introduction, they were my friends and they gave me a raving review about what they thought of me. So what I could do is, what you could do is, if you show up like on a podcast and or a show, you could actually, like you said, cut out that piece and use it as a review, or what, here's what other people say.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome.
Webinars is one way. There's probably multiple ways to do that as well.
How do you retain a client, and what are some of the non-conventional or surprising techniques that work the best?
Retaining a client. So there are a few things that are embedded in customer retention that you got to have in place. One is you've got to have a good service and a good product that you're doing a great job at. Another thing that affects your customer retention is your pricing model and how you have structured your packages. A better way to do it to increase your customer retention rates is if you have a recurring continuity built into your packages, where your customers continue to use your services and products on a daily, weekly, monthly basis or annual basis. That increases your customer retention rate. Having good customer service in place obviously helps with customer retention because you're taking care of them. Now, another really important piece that most businesses drop and don't do a good job at is they don't stay in touch with their customers. So they assume that the customers are happy. They don't do surveys. They don't, pick up the phone and have conversations. And that's where they drop the ball. So one technique that is very simple and it kind of helped pushed me and steered me to start the call center is picking up the phone and have a very friendly conversation with your customers, right? It's not a salesy or pushy conversation. It's just a matter of picking up the phone and say, hey, Stephan, it's Mostafa here. How's it going? I'm calling, say hi and see how things are going. How are things with you? And then do you have any feedback about the product or service that you're using? And you could just, then stay quiet and see what they say. Is there anything that we could improve about our product and service? And then that's another question. And another simple question is there anything else I could do for you? And they will let you know if there are other things that you could do for them. And that question could lead into an upsell, doing more for them and whatnot. They may tell you, or they may come back and say, well, what else could you do for me? To which you could open up, the conversation about other services and products that you could do for them. And that one very friendly conversation that we do every 3 or 4 months, like we pick up the phone every 3 or 4 months, make a round of calls to the entire list, does a lot of wonders in terms of appointments, referrals, introductions, critical customer feedback. That would be my simple trick that you could actually use today. Like literally use that script, pick up the phone, call your customers and see what will transpire.
So let's role play this. I'm going to be the customer that
Sure.
maybe hasn't used your service for 2 years, and or no, let's do
Okay.
active customer, but one who you haven't had a conversation with for a few months. So we're using the product, the service. we're getting some value out of it. Otherwise, we would have stopped paying for it. So things are just ticking along, and then I get a call from you out of the blue. So let's role play this.
For
Ring,
sure.
ring.
All right. Ring, ring.
Hello, this is Stephan.
Stephan, Mostafa here with Persyo. Did I catch you at a bad time?
No, now it's good.
Hey, I won't be too long. How's your day going so far?
It's going well. It's been back-to-back meetings, so I can't wait for the
Fantastic.
day to end.
Yeah, tell me about it. Look, I know we haven't been in touch for a few months, so I just came across your name and I thought I'd give you a call and say hi and see how things are going for you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, things are going well, and we're still using your service, so yeah, we're happy.
Fantastic. How now, instead of scale of say 1 to 10, how would you rate our service?
9.5.
9.5. What do we have to do to make it a 10 for you?
Oh, I never give 10s. Nobody's perfect. I always look for progress, not perfection.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Is there any feedback that you could share with me where we that we could use to improve our product or service?
Not really. No, I just think it does what you advertised it to do, and it's a need that we're getting fulfilled. So yeah, nothing comes to mind.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Stephan, is there anything else that you think we might be able to do for you guys?
Not at this moment. No.
No. Fair enough. If there was something that we felt or we saw that we might be able to do for you guys, would it be a problem if I reach out and to discuss other possibilities and things that we might be able to do for you guys that could deliver value to you and your company?
Well, when it comes to that point where we might utilize some other services, sure, but right now I'm not actively looking for anything.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Stephan, our business basically runs on referrals and introductions from our existing people. We spend and invest most of our profits in taking care of our customers. I'm just curious, who do you know that is leaving maybe money on the table and is not doing a great job of follow-ups with their prospects and customers?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think my buddy Joe could use some help with that. He's in my one of my masterminds. Yeah, I could introduce you guys.
I appreciate that. Would it be all right if I sent you a introduction template so you could, take it, edit and modify it to your liking, and send it to Joe just to make your life easier?
Sure, no problem.
Absolutely. Well, Stephan, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. If anything comes up, please let us know if we were missing in quality in any part of our service. I would love to hear it from you first. Please don't be a stranger. Please don't keep it from us. And we look forward to serving and supporting you in the years to come.
All right. Thanks very much. Perfect.
Thank you.
I like that. That's good. That's very good.
How was that?
So that really gave a tangible.
So there was a few things that I didn't. Can I break it down?
Yeah, please.
So at first I said it's hi, and I said, did I catch you at a bad time? Notice I didn't say, is this a good time? I learned this from Chris Voss, and it works like magic. And no oriented question. Instead of asking, is this a good time to chat? You would say, is this a bad time to chat? And they're like, well, no, it's not a terrible time to chat.
Yeah, that's great. I interviewed Chris Voss on the show. He is so he is amazing negotiator and trainer on negotiating. That's such a great episode. So yeah, appreciate that you worked in that no question.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then I use another one of his techniques where I said, look, I know that I haven't called you for a few months and I'm just reaching out to say hi. So I addressed the objection right off the bat. Like, this guy hasn't called me forever. And then I got into how things are going, what's going on, do you have any feedback for me? And then I asked for a referral. Who do you know that could use our service? So those are a few parts of a few things that I did. And that's basically, we do that on our touch basis, like that we do every 3 or 4 months with our customers. So that was the breakdown of the call.
That's awesome. I really like it. And I can see how this is something for somebody who's uncomfortable with making not unsolicited, but unexpected calls and getting rejected or whatever. They've got that discomfort with it, so they procrastinate. I could see how outsourcing this to a company such as yours would be so valuable, because it gets that uncomfortable feeling out of the way, and you don't have to like overcome it or whatever. You just outsource it. And I like that.
Absolutely.
So if our listener wants to work with your company and outsource their follow-up process to you, or help, or get help with their referral getting or testimonial getting, where do they go? How do they work with you?
For sure. So you could go to fixmyfollowupproblem.com. In there, you can reach out, book a call, and there is a video where I share our process, and get a hold of us there. You can also find me on Facebook or LinkedIn. Send me a message and send me a friend request and mention Stephan and Spencer, and we will have a conversation, set up a chat to see what we might be able to do.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mostafa. And thank you, listener. I hope you got some amazing insights into follow-ups and referrals and retention from this episode. It's not just enough, though, to learn it. You have to put it into action. So make a change in your business and see the results, and rinse and repeat. We'll catch you in the next episode. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer, signing off.